This Grade 1 Great-Grandmaster is called Jiuqiu Sanren. Although he has no parents, his martial Dao aptitude is top-notch. Just by relying on a few incomplete cultivation methods, he was able to cultivate his internal strength. After that he soared. In just 70 years he advanced by leaps and bounds, directly entering Grade 1 Great-Grandmaster. When he first became a Grade 1 Great-Grandmaster and stood at the peak of the world, Jiuqiu Sanren was quite happy. He often exchanged pointers with other Grade 1 Great-Grandmasters. But when he was 100 years old, Jiuqiu Sanren panicked. Although the Grade 1 Great-Grandmaster Shoyuan is far beyond ordinary people, his limit is only 200 years. If he wants to live longer, he can only go one step further and enter the rumored mythical realm. I heard that the Shaolin Temple has been passed down for thousands of years, and that the real Arhat came from there. In order to find a way to break through, I hid in the Thousand Buddhas Hall and thought hard day and night. However, when I was 170 years old, I thought that my internal strength and body had been polished to the limit, but I had no clue about the mythical realm. How can one break through the mythical realm? How did our ancestors manage to cross this bottleneck? The more he read the animal skin, the more sloppy the handwriting became. Endless unwillingness and despair hit him. Even Su Qin was silent. Jiuqiu Sanren should have sneaked in 60 years ago. At that time, the last Shaolin Temple, a holy monk, had just passed away. The Shaolin Temple no longer had a Grade 1, so he could hide until now. Su Qin sighed. Throughout the world, although a Grade 1 Great-Grandmaster is rare, there will be some born in every era. But a legend, or a Buddhist, are equivalent to a legend, cannot be found in an era or even several eras. Su Qin doesn't know about other places. At least in the Shaolin Temple, since the last ancestor Arhat died 900 years ago to suppress the Devil Buddha, no one has been able to achieve Arhat enlightenment. Of course, this is because the successor of the Devil Buddha only appears once in 100 years, which greatly drags down the heritage of the Shaolin Temple, but it also shows how difficult it is to achieve Arhat enlightenment. In the future, will I be like Jiuqiu Sanren, alone and waiting for death? Su Qin frowned slightly, and this thought suddenly flashed in his mind. But, as soon as this thought emerged, it was thrown away by Su Qin. Because Jiuqiu Sanren can't be compared to him at all. Su Qin has the system and can sign in and get countless treasures. Even if it's a pile, he can still reach the legend realm. Besides, Jiuqiu Sanren didn't understand why he couldn't even break through the bottleneck until his death. But in Su Qin's eyes, Jiuqiu Sanren took the wrong path. Jiuqiu Sanren spent more than 100 years polishing his body and internal strength. But in fact, in order to enter the legend realm, in addition to polishing the body and internal strength to the extreme, you also need to perfect your divinity. Divinity, body, internal strength. Only by combining the three would there be a glimmer of hope of touching the bottleneck. In addition, what made Su Qin even more excited was that the Eye of Truth that he had just obtained from signing in could not only see external objects, but also observe his own body. Under the observation of the Eye of Truth, Su Qin's control of his qi, blood, internal strength, and divinity had reached an incredible level. Su Qin could clearly feel any inadequacies and defects in his body. Although the Eye of Truth couldn't directly help Su Qin make up for these shortcomings and flaws, it pointed out a direction for Su Qin. This was more important than Su Qin's sign in and obtaining more divine arts and treasures. It was really right to come to the Thousand Buddhas Hall to sign in this time. Although I don't have the Eye of Truth, I am confident that I can take that step, but I will definitely take a lot of detours. A smile appeared on Su Qin's face. He looked at Jiuqiu Sanren's corpse. Don't worry, let me see the path that you haven't taken and the scenery that you haven't seen. After Su Qin finished speaking, he placed the animal skin in front of Jiuqiu Sanren and turned to leave. As for Jiuqiu Sanren's corpse, Su Qin didn't pay any attention to it. As a forbidden area of the Shaolin Temple, Thousand Buddhas Hall would be cleaned by special disciples every once in a while. When Jiuqiu Sanren was alive, the disciples who came in to clean up wouldn't find him. But now that Jiuqiu Sanren was dead, his corpse was there. The next time the disciples of the Shaolin Temple came in to clean up, they would naturally see it. Chapter 21. Demon Subduing Tower. As the forbidden area of the Shaolin Temple, the Demon Subduing Tower is divided into 9 floors. These 9 floors are not on the surface, but underground. The 1st to 3rd floors suppress the devils of the lower realm, the 4th to 6th floors suppress the devils of the middle realm, and the 7th to 9th floors suppress the devils of the upper realm. However, in this era, there are very few devils of the upper realm suppressed by the Demon Subduing Tower. At this moment, on the 2nd floor of the Demon Subduing Tower, a man who was leaning against a corner suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there was a scarlet and tyrannical light. Ha ha ha. This old ancestor has finally come in. The man looked at the other devils imprisoned in the Demon Subduing Tower, his eyes revealing a greedy look. He is a famous devil in Jianghu, known as Shushui. A few years ago, he changed his appearance and deliberately fell into the hands of the Shaolin Temple in order to enter the Demon Subduing Tower. Most devil path martial artists like to devour the blood essence and vitality of others to make up for themselves. Shushui is even more so. Shui's cultivation technique allows him to quickly improve his cultivation by devouring the blood essence of others. The stronger the target he devoured, the more power Shui would gain. Therefore, Shui began to pay attention to the martial artists of Jianghu. However, the martial artists were not fools. After experiencing Shui's sneak attack, they became vigilant. They called their friends and even their elders to ambush Shui. After suffering a few losses, Shui had to give up this idea. And at this time, Shui suddenly remembered that there are countless devils imprisoned in the Demon Subduing Tower of the Shaolin Temple. These devils are suppressed in the tower and imprisoned for life until they die of old age. After realizing this, Shui suddenly thought that if he sneaked into the Demon Subduing Tower and devoured the blood essence and vitality of the devils in the tower, wouldn't it be foolproof? Thinking of this, Shui began to plan how to sneak into the Demon Subduing Tower. The Shaolin Temple is a great sect in the world. Its heritage is unfathomable. Directly killing his way in is definitely not a good idea. The only way to go in is to take the initiative to fall into the hands of the Shaolin Temple and then be imprisoned. Shui needs to do 2 things. First, he could not let the Shaolin Temple discover his identity. Otherwise, a martial artist of the upper realm would have personally crippled Shui's cultivation. The second was to find a way to enter and leave the demon-suppressing pagoda. Otherwise, if he couldn't do this, even if Shui really swallowed all the blood essence and vitality in the tower, what was the use? The first point was easy for Shui. In the demonic path's mystic arts, there were many ways to change one's appearance. In order to be foolproof, Shui took the initiative to seal his own strength and pretended to be a little devil in the lower realm. As for the second point, Shui discovered from an ancient book that every full moon night, a temporary loophole would appear in the mechanism of the demon-suppressing tower. After solving these 2 problems, Shui was successfully imprisoned on the 2nd floor of the devil-suppressing pagoda. Haha! What delicious food! Shui licked his lips and looked at the demons imprisoned on the 2nd floor of the demon-suppressing pagoda, his face full of greed. Shui took a step forward and appeared in front of a devil, directly grabbing his neck. Shui took a deep breath. A look of horror appeared on the face of the devil in his hand, and his body withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a moment, he turned into a dry corpse. In order to come in order to hide from the Shaolin Temple, I don't know how much I have paid. Now, it's time to reap the harvest. Shui's aura rapidly expanded and spread wildly in all directions. Suddenly, many devils on the 2nd floor began to be sucked dry one by one, turning into dry corpses. So, the other devils found that something was wrong and distanced themselves from Shui. Not good. Someone is attacking us. An old devil roared. Shui? Damn it, why is he on the 2nd floor? Countless demons were shocked and furious, their faces filled with fear. With Shui's strength, even if he fell into the hands of the Shaolin Temple and was suppressed in the demon-suppressing pagoda, he would at least be on the 7th floor. Ha! Want to run? Can you run away? Quickly merge with this old ancestor. This old ancestor is still in a hurry to go to the next floor. Shi Shui's aura was deep as he looked at all the devils indifferently. He took the initiative to be captured into the demon-suppressing pagoda. Naturally, he didn't only intend to devour the devils on the 1st floor. Shi Shui's real goal was all the devils on the 9th floor of the demon-suppressing pagoda. Late at night, the bright moon hung high in the sky. Su Qin sat cross-legged and took long breaths. If there were martial artists in the upper realm present, they would be shocked to find that every time Su Qin inhaled, a large amount of world's essence qi would pour into his body. The amount of world's essence qi that Su Qin inhaled with just one breath was enough to burst the body of an ordinary martial artist in the upper realm. Although the martial artists in the upper realm have opened the heaven and earth bridge, their body was constantly being cleansed by world's essence qi. But that kind of cleansing was slight and gradual. It was like flowing water in a small river, flowing slowly. But now, the world's essence qi that Su Qin inhaled and exhaled was like a river or a lake, endless. Even those grade 1 great-grandmasters would feel their scalp tingle when they see Su Qin inhaling and exhaling world's essence qi like this. After all, how violent is the world's essence qi? With this kind of endless world's essence qi, even a grade 1 great-grandmaster may injure their body if they are not careful. Once the body is damaged, especially when inhaling and exhaling world's essence qi, the backlash will be endless. No grade 1 great-grandmaster would dare to do this. Invincible Vajra divine art is worthy of being the Shaolin Temple's outer technique. Su Qin opened his eyes and thought silently in his heart. The great accomplishment of Invincible Vajra divine art allowed Su Qin to absorb world's essence qi and scrupulously without worrying about any hidden dangers. If it was before, I would definitely think that Invincible Vajra divine art was perfect, without any flaws. But now, with the eyes of truth, the shortcomings of Invincible Vajra divine art can be seen at a glance. Su Qin sighed softly, feeling the power of the eyes of truth more and more. The essence of Invincible Vajra divine art is the most young and indestructible. However, in all things in the world, a lone yin cannot grow, and a lone yang cannot be born. If you want to live forever, you must combine yin and yang. Invincible Vajra divine art is indeed very strong, and it can enhance the body to the level of a martial artist in the upper realm. But it is too extreme. If Su Qin wants to go further and achieve the fruit of Arhat, it is definitely not possible to rely on Invincible Vajra divine art to temper his body. Chapter 22. Yin Attribute Body Tempering Technique? Su Qin touched his chin, a thoughtful look in his eyes. The Shaolin Temple's cultivation technique focuses on yang, so it's really difficult to obtain a Yin Attribute Body Tempering Technique comparable to the Vajra Body Tempering Technique. It seems that I have to go to the Demon Subduing Tower to sign in more often. In the entire Shaolin Temple, only the Demon Subduing Tower can sign in for divine arts and secret techniques outside of the Shaolin Temple. However, the things that sign in from the Demon Subduing Tower are basically related to the demonic path, so Su Qin only goes there occasionally. The next day, Su Qin took the initiative to go to the Demon Subduing Tower to sweep the floor. The Demon Subduing Tower is a forbidden area of the Shaolin Temple, where the demons who once wreaked havoc in the world are imprisoned. Therefore, there are monks patrolling outside the Demon Subduing Tower at all times to ensure that there are no accidents. It's junior brother Su Qin. A patrolling monk saw Su Qin and greeted him with a smile. Su Qin has been in the temple for 10 years, and although he has always been a sweeping monk, he can barely be regarded as half an old man. Most of these patrolling monks knew Su Qin. After responding to them one by one, Su Qin came outside the Demon Subduing Tower. This Demon Subduing Tower? Su Qin frowned slightly. Under the insight of the Eye of Truth, Su Qin could clearly feel that the aura of the demons in the Demon Subduing Tower was rapidly decreasing. Are the demons inside fighting each other? Su Qin muttered in a low voice and didn't pay much attention to it. The demons who can be imprisoned in the demon-subduing tower are all guilty of heinous crimes. If it weren't for the mercy of the Shaolin Temple, these demons would have been killed on the spot in the hands of other righteous sections. Now, Su Qin found that the demons in the tower were decreasing, so he naturally didn't bother to care. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. Obtained the cultivation method, Demon Cloud Hand. A cold, mechanical voice sounded in Su Qin's ears. Demon Cloud Hand? Su Qin nodded slightly. Although he didn't get the Yin attribute body refining technique that he wanted, this Demon Cloud Hand wasn't bad. It was not much weaker than the ordinary unique skills of the Shaolin Temple. If Su Qin could learn it, he would have another trump card. After that, Su Qin would come to the devil-suppressing pagoda once a day. It wasn't until more than a month later that Su Qin finally got what he wanted. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. You have obtained the cultivation technique, Lunar Body Refining Technique. Lunar Body Refining Art? Su Qin smiled. The lunar body refining technique was the fundamental cultivation method of a certain demonic sect called the Lunar Sect 1,000 years ago. It was said to be able to draw the lunar essence of the moon into one's body. If one cultivated it to the highest level, one would be able to form the lunar body. Unfortunately, although the lunar body refining art had great potential, it was extremely difficult to get started. Over time, there was a gap in the disciples of the lunar sect, and it disappeared 1,000 years ago. Lunar Dharma body? It should be equivalent to the invincible Vajra divine art at the highest level. Su Qin compared the lunar body refining art with the invincible Vajra divine art and found that these two cultivation techniques were basically equivalent to cultivation techniques of the same level. In fact, the lunar body refining art was a little stronger than the invincible Vajra divine art. Not bad, not bad. It's you then. Su Qin was extremely satisfied. Although it was very difficult to get started with the lunar body refining art, Su Qin never thought about whether he could master it or not. Under the infusion of the system, there was no divine art that Su Qin couldn't master. However, most of the demons in the devil-suppressing pagoda should be dead by now, right? Su Qin turned his gaze slightly and looked at the devil-suppressing pagoda again. For more than a month, Su Qin came to the devil-suppressing pagoda every day to sign in, so he naturally knew the aura inside the devil-suppressing pagoda like the back of his hand. Under the insight of the Eye of Truth, there was only an extremely powerful aura left in the devil-suppressing pagoda at this moment. As for the other auras, they all disappeared. If it was at the beginning, Su Qin might have guessed that the demons in the devil-suppressing pagoda were fighting each other. But now, Su Qin smelled a conspiracy. It's probably the peak of grade 2, not grade 1. Su Qin carefully confirmed it and judged in his heart. The 9th floor of the devil-suppressing pagoda. Shui was sitting cross-legged, and on his body, devil qi was rolling, covering a radius of 10 meters around him. I didn't expect that the 9th floor of the Shaolin Temple's devil-suppressing pagoda had suppressed several grade 1 great devils hundreds of years ago. Shui's face was filled with ecstasy. Those famous grade 1 great devils had long died on the 9th floor of the devil-suppressing pagoda. But their bodies were still there. Devil path martial artists use devil qi to refine their bodies. Even if they die, their own condensed devil qi will automatically attach to their bones. After devouring these grade 1 corpses, Shui's strength advanced by leaps and bounds, and he even entered the peak of grade 2 in one fell swoop. Before Shui entered the devil-suppressing pagoda, he was only a grade 3 devil. Now that he has devoured all the devils in the devil-suppressing pagoda, coupled with the corpses of the grade 1 great devils hundreds of years ago, he directly broke through a great realm and reached the peak of grade 2. As long as I go out and go into retreat for a while to digest what I have gained, I will definitely be able to break through the shackles and enter grade 1. Shui suddenly opened his eyes, and a faint demonic light appeared. In today's world, there are very few grade 1 great grandmasters, and all of them are giants. If Shui can really step into grade 1, he will be able to cover the sky with one hand. As long as he is careful, he will not be besieged by several grade 1 great grandmasters. The Devil Sect's sect master once forced this ancestor to work for him. When this ancestor goes out this time, I will let you see who is the real Devil Sect master. Shi Shui's eyes flashed with cruelty. It's almost time. I have to get out of the pagoda as soon as possible. Otherwise, if those bald donkeys of the Shaolin Temple discover something and block this ancestor in the pagoda, it will not be good. Shi Shui suddenly thought of something and immediately got up and quickly went to the first floor. Legend has it that the devil-suppressing pagoda was built by a certain arhat of the Shaolin Temple. There is a heaven and earth great array inside that is connected to the outside world. After entering the pagoda, even a grade 1 great grandmaster will be trapped here for life. Shi Shui thought quickly, but he still couldn't help but feel shocked. It's a pity that even the real arhat cannot withstand the power of time, let alone the array left by arhat. If the Shaolin Temple had a real grade 1, a holy monk, he would often perfect the heaven and earth great array in the devil-suppressing pagoda. Even if Shi Shui was brave, he would not dare to sneak in. Under normal circumstances, only arhat can break the heaven and earth great array. However, there was no grade 1A holy monk in this generation of the Shaolin Temple. At least on the surface, there was no grade 1A holy monk. As a result, the heaven and earth great array in the devil-suppressing pagoda, as time passed, loopholes appeared. Old demon Shi Shui learned this secret from an ancient book. The owner of this ancient book was the successor of the Devil Buddha of the Shaolin Temple 100 years ago. 100 years ago, the Shaolin Temple had 4A holy monks, and their power was unparalleled. This successor of the Devil Buddha knew that the chances of destroying the Shaolin Temple were slim, so he spread some secrets of the Shaolin Temple. Even if he could not destroy the Shaolin Temple, he would still leave hidden dangers for the Shaolin Temple. The heaven and earth great array is really vast and endless. Shi Shui watched the operation of the heaven and earth great array for a long time and felt dizzy. The demonic qi in his body almost went berserk. However, in order to wait for the moment when the heaven and earth great formation was activated, Shi Shui could only force himself to look at it. A few days later, just when Shi Shui was about to fall asleep, suddenly, wang! A faint ripple of energy was quickly transmitted over. This fluctuation was very obscure, almost as if it did not exist. It's coming. Chapter 23. Outside the demon-subduing tower. Hundreds of monks were constantly patrolling. The demon-subduing tower was a forbidden area of the Shaolin Temple. Whether it was day or night, there were at least 108 monks patrolling. These 108 monks could instantly form a large array, which was enough to trap ordinary martial artists in the upper realm for a short time. Senior brother, why do I feel that the demon-subduing tower is a bit strange tonight? A young monk turned his head to look at the dark and deep demon-suppressing pagoda and said in a low voice, "Strange? What's so strange about it?" The monk called senior brother glared at him and reprimanded, "Do your thing properly, don't look around." The young monk shrank his head. Suddenly, at this moment, buzz! The entire demon-subduing tower shook slightly. The 108 monks guarding outside the demon-subduing tower were shocked and subconsciously looked at the demon-subduing tower. What happened? Just now, I seemed to feel the demon-subduing tower shaking. Yes, I felt it too, but I thought it was an illusion. Many of the monks were bewildered. However, the next moment, the door of the demon-subduing tower suddenly cracked open. A dark shadow instantly jumped out of this crack and stood outside the demon-subduing tower. It's out. It's finally out. Shi Shui was ecstatic. In fact, before deciding to enter the demon-subduing tower, Shi Shui hesitated whether to take this risk or not. After all, although the ancient book he got was conclusive and determined that the heaven and earth array in the demon-subduing tower had a loophole, but before personally trying it, who could be sure that what the ancient book said was true or false? This was the demon-subduing tower of the Shaolin Temple. Who knew how many famous great devils he had suppressed? Since these great devils were locked in the tower, they never came out. Did they not want to come out? These great devils couldn't come out at all. This showed how terrifying the demon-subduing tower was. But now, there was an ancient book that said that there was a loophole in the demon-subduing tower? If you say there is a loophole, then there will be a loophole? What if what the ancient book said is false? Then wouldn't he be jumping into the pit on his own initiative? However, in the end, Xianxia decided to do so, because once he succeeded, he would be able to devour the countless devils imprisoned in the devil-suppressing pagoda, and Xianxia would have the opportunity to stand at the top of the world. Under this kind of temptation, how could Xianxia resist? Besides, the description of the demon-suppressing tower's loopholes in the ancient book was extremely detailed. It didn't seem like it was deliberately made up. Not good. A demon escaped. Compared to Xianxia's ecstasy, the numerous monks guarding outside the demon-subduing tower turned pale with fright. For thousands of years, there had never been a precedent of a demon escaping from the demon-suppressing tower. Form the formation. The leading monk roared. Immediately, the 108 monks suppressed the shock in their hearts and quickly returned to their positions, forming layers upon layers of great arrays, trapping Xianxia in the center. A mere formation, I can break it with a flick of my finger. Xianxia smiled contemptuously. If it was before he entered the devil-suppressing pagoda, these array formations would have been able to trap him. But now, Xianxia was already at peak grade 2 and could enter the grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm at any time. Wanting to trap him with this array formation was tantamount to a fool's dream. Boom! The terrifying demonic chi shook and spread wildly in all directions. Whoosh! The great formation formed by the 108 monks was forcibly broken apart. The 108 monks were sent flying and smashed into the ground. They swallowed a mouthful of blood and fainted. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. From the shaking of the demon-suppressing pagoda to Xianxia's escape, to the breaking of the array formation, only a moment passed. Many of the monks only had time to form a formation before the formation was broken, and they all fainted. There was no time to pass the news to Abbot Huiwen and the court head. Unable to withstand a single blow, Xianxia retracted his right hand and felt the powerful power he controlled. His face was full of excitement. The Shaolin Temple is only SOSO. Xianxia sneered. It's time to go. Xianxia glanced around. After Xianxia escaped from the demon-suppressing pagoda, he did not give the patrolling monks any time and directly attacked, so they had no chance to spread the news of his escape. But the people of the Shaolin Temple were not fools. The demon-suppressing pagoda was a forbidden area of the Shaolin Temple. With such a big thing happening, even if they did not know about it now, someone would definitely notice it after a while. At that time, if Xianxia was still here, what awaited him would be the encirclement of Abbot Huiwen and the court heads. Old bald donkey Huiwen. Xianxia's expression was cold. In the entire Shaolin Temple, the only person Xianxia was afraid of was Abbot Huiwen. Xianxia was currently grade 2, and Abbot Huiwen was also grade 2. Although Xianxia was at peak grade 2, the Shaolin Temple's cultivation method restrained cultivation methods of the Devil Path. Coupled with the fact that this was the Shaolin Temple's territory, Xianxia was fighting alone. Once he was delayed, he was afraid that he would be in real danger. Although Xianxia was full of confidence at the moment, he also knew what choice was best for him. But before I leave, this ancestor wants to taste the blood essence of these bald donkeys from the Shaolin Temple. Xianxia looked at the 108 monks who had fainted and licked his lips. In the past, when Xianxia met the disciples of the Shaolin Temple, he would want to stay as far away as possible. How could he dare to provoke them? But at this moment, his powerful strength gave him endless confidence. Coupled with his escape from the demon-suppressing pagoda, he already had an irreconcilable relationship with the Shaolin Temple. It did not matter if he devoured the blood essence of some Shaolin Temple disciples. Thinking of this, Xianxia took a step forward and appeared in front of a monk. This monk was the leader of the formation just now. He had grade 4 strength and abundant blood essence. He was Xianxia's favorite target to devour. Devil! Die! Suddenly, the martial monk burst into action. His aura soared as he threw a punch at Xianxia. So weak, Shui seemed to have expected this. He raised his right hand and slowly pressed down. Boom! Terrifying devil chi shrouded and instantly suppressed the monk. Why don't you just let this ancestor devour you? Shui shook his head slightly. Devil, I will die with you. The monk's eyes were bloodshot as he struggled to stand up. Shui saw this scene and did not even bother to say a word. Just as Shui was about to devour all the blood essence of the monks. A few miles away, on a hill. Sigh, why do you have to be so ruthless? Su Qin slowly opened his eyes and sighed. Chapter 24. Am I going to die? In front of the demon-subduing tower, the monk who wanted to perish together with Shui felt his qi and blood quickly draining away. This monk's name was Zhenji. Although he and Su Qin belonged to the Zhen generation, he entered the temple 30 years earlier. It's a pity that I couldn't protect my junior brothers. Zhenji was getting weaker and weaker. He reluctantly turned his head and looked at the other monks who had fainted. He knew very well that when Shui devoured all of his vitality, these martial monks would most likely not be able to escape death. I can't die like this. I have to inform the abbot, inform the court head. Zhenji struggled to maintain his last trace of consciousness. As if he had a terminal lucidity, he looked up and looked outside. However, with this look, Zhenji saw a scene that he would never forget in his life. He saw a slender and vague figure walking towards the demon-subduing tower step by step. At first, this vague figure was still a kilometer away, but with every step, it crossed hundreds of meters out of thin air. In just a moment, it came to the front of the demon-subduing tower. Someone is coming? Zhenji's consciousness quickly fell into darkness. At the last moment before his consciousness fell into darkness, Zhenji suddenly heard Shui's angry voice. Damn it, who the hell are you? In front of the demon-subduing tower. Su Qin looked at Zhenji, who had fainted again, then turned his eyes and looked at Shui, who was full of vigilance. When did the Shaolin Temple have such a great master like you? Shui's expression was dignified. Just now, Su Qin crushed his demonic aura with just a wave of his hand. His strength was terrifying. Before Shui entered the demon-subduing tower, he had already checked all the martial artists in the upper realm of the Shaolin Temple. There was no such person as Su Qin. You don't need to know. Su Qin sighed softly. It wasn't easy to escape. Why didn't you leave the Shaolin Temple as soon as possible? Although Su Qin never regarded himself as a real senior monk, the 10-year vegetarian meal in the Shaolin Temple made Su Qin unable to watch the disciples of the Shaolin Temple being slaughtered. What's more, he had a good relationship with Zhenji. Do I need you to care about what I do? Shui's ancestor slightly narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Although Su Qin posed a great threat to him, the devouring blood ancestor found that Su Qin looked very young. Such a young monk, even if he started practicing martial arts in his mother's womb, coupled with the various resources provided by the Shaolin Temple, he would at most be in the upper realm. How could he be an opponent with him? The reason why the demonic aura was broken by Su Qin just now was that his strength had skyrocketed and he couldn't perfectly control his internal strength. You must be a genius secretly cultivated by the Shaolin Temple, right? Unfortunately, what this ancestor likes to kill the most is geniuses. Shui's eyes were cruel, and the aura in his body surged again. Anyway, he was already at odds with the Shaolin Temple. In this case, killing a genius of the Shaolin Temple in advance was a good thing. Just now, this ancestor's aura was unstable, and you caught a flaw. Now, let's see if you can still break this ancestor's demonic aura. With each word of Shui's ancestor, the pressure in the air became heavier. When he finished speaking, his field of vision was filled with demonic qi. Shui used the secret art of the Grade 1 Great Demon on the 9th floor of the demon-subduing tower. Heavenly Demon Domain. This kind of domain can only be used by devils in the upper realm. It can communicate with heaven and earth and turn into a demonic domain. Inside the domain, Shui's strength will skyrocket, and the enemy will be suppressed by the domain. Time is running out. Su Qin seemed to feel something and shook his head slightly. At this time, several auras were quickly approaching here. Obviously, Abbot Huiwen and several court heads found that something was wrong and were rushing towards the demon-subduing tower. Time is running out? Shi Shui was stunned, and then a sneer appeared on his face. Yes, you don't have much time. The next moment, Shi Shui stretched out his right hand and slowly pressed it towards Su Qin. Almost instantly, a large amount of demonic qi gathered and crushed down. This blow is the full strength of this ancestor, even if it is not as good as an ordinary grade 1 great grandmaster. Shi Shui looked proud and was about to continue. However, what happened next made Shi Shui's face change greatly, as if he was being strangled by the throat. The demonic qi instantly evaporated and turned into nothingness when it came within 3 feet of Su Qin. Impossible! Impossible! Shi Shui was horrified, as if he had seen something incredible. Although it is said that Buddhist cultivation techniques can restrain demonic cultivation techniques, but no matter how restrained it is impossible to directly evaporate like this. This was no longer restraint. It was a crushing defeat, a complete and utter crushing defeat. However, before he could react, Su Qin took a step forward and appeared in front of him. Not good. Run! Shi Shui's scalp instantly exploded. At this moment, if Shi Shui did not know that Su Qin's strength was far above him, then he would be a fool. Grade 1. At least a grade 1 great grandmaster. When did the Shaolin Temple give birth to such a young grade 1 great grandmaster? Shi Shui's heart was filled with endless regret at this moment. If he had known that there was a grade 1 great grandmaster in the Shaolin Temple, even if he had 10 times the courage, he would not dare to sneak into the Shaolin Temple. Too late. Seeing that Shi Shui wanted to run, Su Qin casually raised his right hand, formed a fist, and lightly punched. This punch, in Shi Shui's eyes, was slow, as if a child was punching. But for some reason, Shi Shui couldn't dodge this punch. It was as if he was carrying a huge force and could not move at all. Puchi. Under Shi Shui's desperate gaze, Su Qin's fist slowly imprinted on his body. In the blink of an eye, the terrifying fist force destroyed Shi Shui's internal organs and 8 extraordinary meridians. You. Shi Shui spurted out a mist of blood and slowly fell to the ground. After a while, Abbot Huiwen appeared outside the demon-subduing tower. The demon-subduing tower is emitting demonic energy fluctuations. I'm afraid that the demon inside has escaped. Abbot Huiwen was worried and rushed over at his fastest speed. For thousands of years, the demon-subduing tower has been impregnable. There shouldn't be any problems. Abbot Huiwen's expression was ugly. If there is really a problem with the demon-subduing tower and the demon inside escaped, then it will be an unprecedented disaster for the entire Shaolin Temple. Those demons have been imprisoned for so many years. Their resentment towards the Shaolin Temple can be imagined. Once they are released, the first thing they will do will be to slaughter the Shaolin Temple. However, when Abbot Huiwen rushed to the demon-subduing tower and saw everything in front of him clearly, he was stunned. Although the 108 patrolling monks were lying on the ground unconscious, their breathing was stable and they were obviously still alive. Chapter 25. What's going on? Abbot Huiwen's heart was full of doubts. This is old demon Shi Shui? Abbot Huiwen approached old demon Shi Shui, and his expression changed slightly. At this moment, although old demon Shi Shui had already changed his appearance, the demonic aura exuding from his body was extremely strong. In today's world, although there were some martial artists in the upper realm, each of them was famous, not to mention an upper realm demon. Abbot Huiwen only thought for a moment and determined the identity of old demon Shi Shui through the aura on his body. Demon-subduing tower? Old demon Shi Shui. Abbot Huiwen vaguely guessed something. Just as Abbot Huiwen was thinking. At this moment, the court heads also hurried over. Abbot? What's going on here? Why do I feel the aura of a demonic martial artist? The court head of Arhat Court glanced at the scene and couldn't help but ask. When the other court heads heard this, they immediately looked at Abbot Huiwen. In their view, Abbot Huiwen was the first to arrive here, so he should know more than them. I'm not much earlier than you guys. When I first arrived, the scene was already like this. Abbot Huiwen smiled bitterly and said the guess in his heart. What? Abbot, you mean this corpse belongs to old demon Shui? The court head of Arhat Court was slightly surprised. According to the information collected by the Shaolin Temple, old demon Shui is just a third-grade demon, but the strength of this corpse is far from third grade, at least second grade, and even peak second grade is not impossible. The Dharma court head said slowly. When these words came out, the court heads on the scene suddenly changed color. What they cared about was not whether the corpse was a peak second grade or not. But if what the Dharma court head said was true, why would a peak second grade die here? The court heads had already checked the injuries of old demon Shui. His internal organs were instantly shattered. The existence that killed old demon Shui was obviously fatal. Who was it that could kill a peak rank 2 in an instant? Moreover, the court heads found a trace of deep fear on Shui's face. Obviously, Shui was in a state of incomparable despair before he died. To be able to make a peak rank 2 feel such despair that he couldn't even run away, the court heads felt a chill in their hearts. About Shui's strength, I'm afraid I know what's going on. At this time, Abbot Huiwen walked out of the demon's subduing tower and said in a deep voice, Shui must have pretended to be a lower realm demon and deliberately allowed himself to be suppressed in the demon's subduing tower. Then, he took the opportunity to devour the blood essence and vitality of all the demons in the tower, and his strength increased by leaps and bounds, Abbot Huiwen said slowly. The other academy heads nodded in agreement. Indeed, according to Abbot Huiwen's explanation, some things could be explained. However, but the most important thing couldn't be explained. The head of the Arhat courtyard asked, Abbot, why did Shui die here? This, Abbot Huiwen was silent. This was also what he didn't understand the most. With Shui's strength, even if it was him, he could only delay him at most. But if he wanted to kill him, especially in an instant, it was impossible. Could it be that a holy monk did it? The disciplinary court had guessed. Some time ago, the descendants of the Devil Buddha created havoc in the Shaolin Temple. It was because of a holy monk that the Shaolin Temple survived the disaster. At that time, everyone, including Abbot Huiwen, believed that the Shaolin Temple was secretly guarded by a holy monk. Shui died inexplicably in front of the demon's subduing tower, which made the disciplinary court head have this guess. In the entire Shaolin Temple, I'm afraid that only a holy monk has such strength. This is the only possibility. Abbot Huiwen nodded slightly. By the way, although these disciples are unconscious, their lives are not in danger. Abbot Huiwen walked to the front of Zhenji. Although some of their qi and blood were devoured, it didn't hurt their foundation. They will recover in a few months. Abbot Huiwen checked Zhenji's body and nodded. Wake up! Abbot Huiwen pointed between Zhenji's eyebrows and shouted in a low voice. Dong! A copper and aluminum bell rang in Zhenji's mind. Zhenji, whose consciousness had fallen into darkness, suddenly felt light. Abbot! Zhenji opened his eyes and saw Abbot Huiwen and the other courtyard heads. He subconsciously got up and saluted. Don't move. Your qi and blood are in deficit. You need to rest. Abbot Huiwen held Zhenji and said, Junior brothers, are you all right? Zhenji asked in a low voice. Don't worry. Abbot Huiwen smiled. With a holy monk's help, Shui died on the spot, and none of the disciples were injured. Abbot Huiwen's tone was full of respect. A holy monk's helped several times. First, he saved the Shaolin Temple from the descendants of the Devil Buddha, and now he killed Shui. Such kindness was enough for the Shaolin Temple to build a golden body for him and worship him for thousands of generations. A holy monk's ancestor? Zhenji was stunned. At the last moment when his consciousness fell into darkness, he did see someone coming. Although Zhenji could only see a vague shadow at that time, from the slender figure, he should not be too old. How could it be an ancestor? However, even if Zhenji had such doubts, he could only think that he was wrong when he saw the confident look of Abbot Huiwen and the other courtyard heads. In a few days, Go to the Bodhi court and get a blood-replenishing pill, Abbot Huiwen said. The blood-replenishing pill is a kind of pill that specializes in replenishing blood. Zhenji's blood is deficient, and taking the blood-replenishing pill can greatly speed up the recovery. Thank you, Abbot. Zhenji immediately thanked him. Just when Abbot Huiwen and the other courtyard heads were secretly guessing who a holy monk's ancestor was, Su Qin had returned to the Chor's court. When the matter was done, he left, hiding his merits and reputation. For the Shaolin Temple, Su Qin's several moves were tantamount to saving the lives of thousands of disciples of the Shaolin Temple and saving the Shaolin Temple from destruction. But in Su Qin's view, it was just a casual move that killed a few flies. Days like this, sign in, improve my strength, and live leisurely is what I want. Su Qin was in a good mood. A few hours later, when the Shaolin Temple was quiet again, Su Qin quietly slipped out of the Chor's court and came to an empty hill. The bright moon hung high in the sky. The moonlight sprinkled down like a curtain. Su Qin sat cross-legged, and the lunar body refining art slowly operated. Endless power of the lunar body poured into his body and integrated into every part of his flesh. Sure enough, the combination of the lunar body refining art and the invincible Vajra divine art, the combination of the power of the lunar body and the power of the yang, has a miraculous effect in forging the body. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.